Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all enjoying your Sunday evening. We've had 3 consecutive weekends of F1 action, and to make sure you're not missing it too much, PSGL are back bringing some more racing from F1 2020. We've already had one evaluation race which Jess was taking us through earlier. In fact, I believe that race is just coming up to the penultimate lap now. But here we are having the second evaluation race around the historic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. I'm Luke Etheridge, and I will be taking you through this race. A full grid of 20 drivers of varying abilities will all be trying to fight their way through the grid and try and perform the best as possible. Now, seeing as it is an evaluation race, there are a few differences that you might notice. Firstly, everyone must do a soft-medium strategy, so we won't see any of these fascinating tyre strategies of cars lower down the grid starting on the softs or the mediums or even the hard tyres. Perhaps they'll all be going for a soft-medium strategy. That's just to ensure a bit of consistency, but we still should have some cracking racing. This circuit never fails to disappoint. Bit of facts about this circuit: was used in the first ever F1 season, a much different beast to what it is nowadays. But the circuit carried on long down the Kemmel Straight, was a fearsome flat-out circuit, still one of the fastest in Formula 1 and the longest on the calendar at just over 7 kilometres, only 22 laps tonight, as it will be a 50% race, and I'm sure the drivers will be looking forward to see what they can do. And the drivers we've got here, just to name a few, we have got one of the title contenders from F1 last year, just picked to the post in the end by Jarno Opmeer. It is Casper, 24. F1 had a very good performance around this circuit last year in PSGL, managed to get on the podium, and he'll be hoping for similar performances once his season starts. Of course, he'll be aiming for the top tier, and if you're in the top tier this year, you won't be allowed to use any assists whatsoever. Assists are limited for the next few tiers as well, to line only as well, so, and ABS I believe, so we'll have to see what he can do at the moment as Casper comes towards the finish line. We'll take you on a tour then of this circuit. Heavy braking down the gears into last source. You can see the short shifting there just to get optimal traction coming out of the corner, down the old pit straight, hanging up then through Eau Rouge and Radillon, flat out in a Formula 1 car, especially in qualifying spec. You can see just losing a bit of speed as you go over the top of the hill. DRS Open has become flying now down the Kemmel Straight, one of the longest straights in Formula 1. Easy overtaking opportunity in the race, down into Les Cornes, right, left, and then right again. Then you head downhill towards the Bruxelles hairpin, where we saw a fantastic overtake last year. Alex Albon trying to make it round the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. Next, no-name corner, turn number 9 on this circuit. Then we head downhill to the double left-hander of Pouhan. You can just see a slight lift there, down on the brakes, down the gear, flat out through the second part of Pouhan, as we then head towards the campus chicane, turns 12 and 13. Just riding on the curve there, not wanting to get away with too much, don't want to cause any problems through Stavelot at 14. It's very easy to just run wide coming through here and go deep as it's downhill through Paul Frere. That barrier on the left hand side can easily catch you out if you're not careful. And then we head down flat out now towards Blanchimont. Used to be one of the most fearsome corners F1, not as much so now in a modern F1 car. You can just see easily flat out at 200 miles an hour, 320 kilometres an hour. Heavy braking for the bus stop chicane, last used in its old format back in 2004-2005, where Zil Montoya do a fantastic move on Michael Schumacher. And the first lap from Casper is a 141.176, just ahead one of his F1 rivals from last season, Onyx, who's gone second with a 141.387. So a very good lap from the guys there, doing exceptionally well. I'm sure they'll be hoping for good performances tonight. All we wanted, of course, to prove a point. We do have drivers of, as I said, differing abilities. Quite a few drivers actually were in F5 last season. We've got Never Walk Alone Matty, who must be pretty happy with how Liverpool have done this season. Maybe not so much after the comeback, but they have ended up winning the title, of course. We've also got Monster Blue, who was actually runner-up last year in F5, an extremely good performance from him. Managed to pick up 3 wins there, didn't start this race in Belgium. And we also have Jamie as well, who's just on his outlap at the moment. He actually won this race last time around. This was on the PSGL S25 calendar, so of course he'll be hoping for good performances now. So let's just see what Monster Blue can do in that McLaren. So most of the drivers have been out on circuit so far. A few will have invalidated their laps. That's why they've headed into the pits. Still no one able to beat Casper and Onyx's time at the moment. Not too surprising, obviously, given their F1 history, to see them at the top. It'll be interesting to see what Chevy 2Pie does as well when he comes out. He was only a reserve last year in F2, but did put some good performances together in FP, the Formula Performance League. Managed to finish 5th here in that league and was in the top 10 in the championship there. So on board then with Monster Blue. He gets it nice and careful around the bus stop. DRS open once again. That is a very good time from him. Puts him up in 4th for now, but it's still Casper at the top. Onyx 2nd, Hamilton and Monster Blue then, the 4 cars that have got under 1 minute 42. Ivan bang on 1:42 at the moment in the Alpha Tauri. Still waiting for a few of these drivers to set a lap time. So we will go on board then with Jamie, the man who we said last season was a winner here, and I'm sure driving like that wasn't what got him the victory. Didn't keep it clean there through No Name. He'll be disappointed with that. Easy to run wide there, and I think it was 2014, 2015, one of Pastor Maldonado's Lotus years, where he just sort of drifted wide onto the wet grass and ended up having a huge shunt. Nothing unique about Pastor Maldonado having a huge shunt, obviously, but even for him, it was a bit of a strange one. I think even he'd admit that, looking back. So let us know who you guys think will do well tonight, and what anyone who's looking to compete this season, what are your expectations for the season? What are your thoughts on the game? I've definitely enjoyed playing F1 2020 at the moment, a lot more than I did 2019. Not that I'm anywhere near the standards of these guys, but for me it's definitely not the winning, it's the taking part, I have to say that. So see who else is on the lap at the moment. We've got a few drivers coming out on out lap, so we'll actually see Chevy 2Pie. He's on his out lap, he's actually dived into the pits, so not sure if he'd actually already invalidated that lap, as he nearly goes into the back of the Mercedes of OTG. Mercedes of OTG and Riker 10th and 11th at the moment. That's not something you'd expect to see, obviously, in the real world from the Mercedes team. Sippy just starting his lap in the Haas. Back to the more traditional red, white and black colours, of course, in 2020, after the interesting sponsorship, to say the least, with Williams Story last season. I don't think that ended how anyone would have wanted, except with perhaps the exception of the Netflix producers of the Drive to Survive series. And we will see a few more updated liveries on this game. I think when Codemasters do the next update, they are planning to bring the black Mercedes update and the slightly altered McLaren with the extra We Racers 1 branding at the back of the side pod. So we'll just follow Sippy round at the moment, see what sort of time he can do in the Haas. Just keeps one wheel the right side of that white line. So as I was saying earlier about the assists, top tier will be no assists this year for the first time in PSGL. Next couple of tiers will be line only. If you're in the rest of the tiers, you can pretty much use any assists apart from pit assists, braking assists, fuel assists and ERS assists. And ERS, I'm sure everyone will agree, is a lot easier to cope with this year than it has been in previous years. Staying on board then with Sippy, what sort of time can he do as he's heading up towards Blanchimont? ERS getting a bit low at the moment, could run out of that before the end of the straight and just heading towards that next kick towards the finish line. That might just cost him a tiny bit of time, although it looks like he's pretty much played it to perfection in the Haas. What can he do at the moment as he heads towards the line? His teammate Infinite currently in 13th. Sippy does a fantastic time for him. That puts him in 8th position. Halfway through this session exactly, and it is still the same top 5 that we had earlier on. Casper, Onyx, Hamilton, Monster Blue and Ivan. Given obviously the length of the track, it is not as common to see cars going out for as many laps as they do on other circuits. The longest circuit on the calendar in terms of lap distance, Singapore can rival it for lap time, given how tight and twisted that place is. Got a good luck message from another one of the F1 drivers from last season, Louis Welsh, wishing good luck to Mini Chungus, or PRJT Infinite. He's down in 14th, so hopefully he'll have a decent lap this time around. Can he follow in the footsteps, indeed, Sparks, of the original Chungus, the best driver with a pad? He needs to teach me how to do it, because even with all the assists on an AI set at about 0, I still end up finishing last. But that, I think, says more about my driving abilities than it does anything else. One man whose ability is looking pretty good at the moment. Jesper Barneveld, 6th position in that Ferrari, 1:42.062. Just over a tenth of a second could get him up onto that second row of the grid, and I'm sure that is what he's hoping for tonight, to get a best possible start. It is easy to overtake at this circuit, and necessarily being in the first position isn't the greatest here because of the long slipstream all the way down the Kemmel Straight. I'm sure if you saw 2018 where we saw 4 wide with Hamilton, Vettel and both the Force Indias, as I think they were still called at that point, of Ocon and Perez getting extremely wide and having a great battle down towards the Lecombe chicane, as we've just seen Onyx actually go fastest, 1:41.035. Can anyone manage to get into the 140s? Because that would be an incredible lap time around this circuit. Jesper Barneveld at the moment comes across the line. He is 6th with a 1:42.030 at this moment in time. Casper has dived into the pits, so he won't be able to improve. He'll be having one more run. See where Ivan is doing at the moment, in 5th position. And bit of rallycross there, so if anyone from World Rallycross is watching and you want to go to Spa again, that's a alteration you can make for your track for next year. It'd be fantastic in a rally car, Formula 1 car, going Valtteri Bottas lawnmower style there, over the grass, coming through that no-name corner. Not the quickest way around, and definitely an invalidation there for corner cutting. Did still gain a bit of time, so he'll be hoping maybe just to save a bit of ERS, save his tyres, and give it another run around with 6 minutes 20 seconds remaining. Got Wesker just dropped outside the top 10 he has at the moment. We just see Chevy Tupai actually go up into 3rd position, 1:41.732, but still those two at the head of the field look to have a big margin over everyone else at the moment. Still a long way to go at this moment in time. What can Wesker do now? Round the final corner in the racing point. The pink Mercedes goes ahead of all the proper Mercedes, who are still 13th for 14th. He's increased that margin, fitting in that gap between the two Renaults at the moment. They're 2nd and 4th. Wesker slotting in nicely in 3rd position at the moment. Hamilton just rounded the final corner now in the Red Bull. Can he move ahead of Chevy Tupai? He does, and he also goes ahead of Wesker as well. 3rd position for Hamilton with the 1:41.453. He'll be very happy with that lap. Will have enough time to get back to the pits and go for another run as well. Jamie at the moment only in 13th position. He'll be hoping for better this time around. Just seeing who else have we got on a hot lap that is actually nearer to the pits at the moment, or nearer to the finish line at least. We've got one of the McLarens going around of Best Bob, but I think he's just cooling it down. He's invalidated actually, heading back towards the pits. Volokongan also heading back towards the pit style. Got a nice view from the back of him. See him getting out of the way of Jamie shortly, as Jamie is on a hot lap. Obviously, the Alpha pushing like crazy, and almost a carbon copy of what Giovinazzi did last year through Pouhon. Just pushing a bit too hard. He's off the circuit, and thought he'd actually got beached on the curb there. So may have won here last year in F5. He's finding it a bit tough at the moment in 13th position. OTG Ollie's just gone ahead of him in 12th in the Mercedes, so that's a good improvement from him. And we're still looking to see what can Infinite and Matty do. Not really set a representative lap time compared to anyone else. 4 minutes 10 remaining. Top 2 guys still in the pits at this moment in time, still just waiting around to see what sort of lap times they can set. Only man, I believe, on a hot lap at this moment in time is Sipi again. Now he's just 9 thousandths off what is normally that all-important top 10, because obviously if you start in the top 10 in a full qualifying session, that gets you into the next part of qualifying. Bit like most leagues, PSGL use the short qualifying system, but also if you start in the top 10, you have to use the tyres that you have qualified on. If you start outside the top 10, usually that gives you a chance for a better strategy, but as I explained earlier, everyone must run softs on their first stint and then go to the medium tyres. 3 minutes 20 remaining then. Seeing a few drivers will shortly be heading out for their final laps in this qualifying session, as Sipi does what Jamie did on his first flying lap, just getting it wrong then, coming through that turn 9 there, just running over the curb. That is enough to take him out of this session in terms of invalidating his lap time. He'll be able to get round to the pit and have another go. I am certain of it. So as I was saying, 3 minutes remaining. It's Onyx, Casper, Hamilton. Pretty much been the top three for this entire session. Onyx has just got ahead of Casper on that last run, with Casper opting to go into the pit. So we'll have to see if the Renault driver can move his way up, or Cherry 2Pie be able to get his Renault up there as well, currently in 5th position. Not a lot of drivers that were originally in that top bit improved that time around. Monster Blue and Ivan didn't manage to improve at all. And we'll see Sipia here just head into the pits, getting a bit quiet around this Spa circuit. Now, just got drivers out on outlaps at the moment. Matty UTM in the Williams. With that updated Williams livery, it's been so good to see Williams putting in better performances in Formula 1. And I'm sure a lot of you in the chat will feel the same way. It's glad to see that they've actually got some competitiveness this season after the horror show last year. We'll see what Matty can do in the Williams at the moment. Hasn't set a clean lap time at the moment, so we'll have to see what he can do. 2 minutes 5 for him. 1 minute 41 is still pole position. He should be able to get another lap done after this if he has the tyres or the ERS to do so, which, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure he will, but he's going to give it a go anyway. Matty keeping it nice and clean through Eau Rouge. Very easy to just get it wrong over that hill. Don't be surprised in the race if you see a lot of incidents coming up over Eau Rouge into Radion. Quite often drivers have found the barrier there, and especially on lap 1 it could be absolute carnage, and we could see a few drivers drop down the field. But of course they will be able to continue. This evaluation race is all about setting consistent paces, all about their racecraft. They don't want to get involved in too many incidents, and they're hoping, unlike our business at the moment, they're hoping that the connection can stay with it, because that would be a shame for him. He's currently in 10th place in the Alfa Romeo, the leading Alfa Romeo at the moment. He'll be hoping that he could get back into this session. Matty just coming around campus now, heading towards Stavolo and Paul Frere to end the second sector. Just locking up the front right ever so slightly there. Didn't cost him too much. You can see he's well quicker than he was earlier on what I'm sure was not the hot lap, and if it was, he must have made a mistake earlier on. With this come up the sector improvement, it would move him ahead of Infinite, so we'll have to see if he can go forward anymore. One of the F5 drivers from last year now, as he heads towards the bus stop chicane. Set what will be his final time in this qualifier session. Can he move himself off the foot of the table? Just runs wide coming out of the bus stop chicane. And for Matty, he does only move himself up one place in the end. It is 19th position for him. I'm sure he was hoping for a bit better from that. Checkered flag is about to drop. The Mercedes is just on the track map there, just getting across the line as Wesker off into the wall. What was I saying about Eau Rouge and Radion? How easily it is to just get it wrong, and he won't be able to improve at all. Neither will Sipyi, in fact, who's just gone too slow around this circuit. So with that checkered flag out, Hamilton not able to improve as well. So Sipyi, he's just getting a bit more of a run on these tyres, but he will not be able to improve. Stays in 11th. It's actually saying there he is on another lap. So I'm not sure if there's been a bit of a timing glitch here, because surely he shouldn't be allowed to carry on anymore. No matter, we'll see what Cherry 2Pie can do. He's actually invalidated as he comes around the final corner, so no improvement from him. Canonics get into the 140s and consolidate that pole position. Indeed he does. 140.713. Great lap from him. Casper's going to have had a mighty final sector to challenge for pole position here. Good improvement from him also in the 140s, but not enough. 140.916. We know Wesker won't be able to improve. Jesper Barneveld's got ahead of Cherry 2Pie. DXT Monster's just been off circuit there, I believe. Ivan has also invalidated these laps. So as drivers are pushing hard to try and move up the grid, they are finding issues with the track limits at the moment. Cowboy moves himself up 2 positions. He goes into 7th. Great lap from him there. Ivan, we know, won't be able to improve. Who else is on a lap at the moment? OTG. He has invalidated, unfortunately for him. Roberto Mancini likewise, and Carty. So as I was saying, a lot of drivers, and Riker as well. So I think that is probably going to be it for this qualifying session, and it is a great performance from Onyx in the Williams. 140.713. Casper in second. Those two half a second faster than the field. Looking very good at the moment for them two what you'd expect really of F1 drivers from last season. They look to have continued that form onto the new game. Will we see any surprises in the race? We'll have to wait and see, because that race will be underway very shortly. 22 laps around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. If you want a bit more PSGL action, there will be a couple more evaluation races tomorrow night as well. Austin Smith will be taking you through another evaluation race Monday at 7 PM, and Owen will be taking you through one at 8 PM. But tonight, it's all about that fantastic time there from that man Onyx with that lovely podium pass helmet on pole position, and an all Dutch front row with Casper in second, Hamilton third, Wesker we saw getting his lap wrong there in fourth, Jesper Barneveld and Cherry Tupai rounding out the third row of the grid. Cowboy, Monster Blue, Ivan and Arby's are the top 10. Sipyi just missing out on the top 10 position by 9 thousandths of a second. OTG, the lead Mercedes in 12th. Jamie had a few difficulties on his laps there. He's only 13th. And then it's Volakongen, Best Bob, Huberto Mancini, Jake Carty, Riker, Matty, and Infinite Mini Chungus rounding out the field here for this Belgian Grand Prix. 22 laps around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit coming up shortly. We'll just see what everyone is doing at the moment. They'll all be sorting out the strategies, but as we said, it's all got to be fairly simple. No tricks with the strategy, just soft, medium. That is what everyone has been ordered to do, just so we make sure it's fair for everyone with the setup, so we don't see any amazing lap times. Got a few people here. Jamie saying he was 2 tenths up and invalidated. And he's also mentioned as well he did a Giovinazzi at the Giovinazzi corner, so he'll be hoping that he could not do that in the race towards the end. So we'll have to see how everyone can do at the moment. Session just about to start. Everyone will be getting ready for this race. Not allowed to make many setup changes, just allowed to change the front wing ever so slightly, and we'll be able to see how everyone does in this race. Coming up shortly, got the formation lap firstly, just got to warm the tyres up. A very long formation lap, obviously, around this circuit. So Onyx there is first, Casper will be second, Hamilton third, Wesker fourth, Jesper, Cherry, Cowboy, Monster Blue, Ivan, Arby's are the top 10. And if we get the tyres everyone has gone for, Ollie, 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 oi, 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 what are you doing? Hopefully he'll come for a pit stop early on and go to the soft tyres, because he's not meant to be on those at the moment. Yeah, Ollie starting in 12. He might be interesting to watch then if he does stay on those medium tyres throughout this entire race. There's the pit strategy. We're expecting pretty much the entire field, lap 8 to 9, to come into the pits for the medium tyres. If Ollie does stay on them, he'll obviously be able to go a bit longer and then change onto the hards, or possibly even the softs towards the end. But I imagine he's currently got Big C screaming in his ear to come into the pits. Jamie said he got it wrong in qualifying. He'll be hoping for a bit better. And the man who I think could have a really good start to this race is this guy in second position, Casper. Got a podium here last year. He's not leading the race, obviously, and if I was him, I'd try not to lead into turn 1, into La Source. Definitely not out of La Source. Anyway, even though you don't get DRS until after lap 2, so the first time they'll be able to use it is along the Kemmel Straight on lap 3. You don't want to be giving everyone a nice slipstream, punching a Formula 1 sized hole in the air for everyone else to get their car in. Otherwise you could be a sitting duck down that straight into Le Combe on the first lap. Guarantee one thing, it is going to be very exciting around here, as everyone not really worrying about a championship at the moment, just pushing to the absolute limit around this circuit for 22 fascinating laps. Got a bit of a mixture of abilities, so it'll be interesting to see how different drivers cope with that, especially if they get stuck behind someone who's slightly slower. There's no reason whatsoever for them to be letting them past, of course. I think we could see a lot of action at the front. Let me know who you guys think is going to win. It is an old Dutch 1-2, but who is going to come up with the goods today around Belgium. Thank you guys so much for watching us. We've got the strategies coming up once again. Everyone should be following that soft to medium strategy. We'll have to see how the race goes. There's the view our pole sitter has towards turn 1, just waiting for Infinite to get into his grid slot, and then the lights will be coming on. Someone here thinks it's going to finish 1-2 in the order we've got on the grid. We're going to have to wait and see. Here we go. Lights coming on now here at Belgium. We are underway. It's a good start from Onyx. Casper's going to try and get alongside him. We've got one of the Alpha Tauris moving around as well, but it is Onyx in the lead at the moment. Casper is second. Wesker trying to go round the outside there of Hamilton. A bit of wheel banging between them, and that might give Cherry 2Pi a nice free run to get himself into third place. And Wesker's just managed to get ahead of Hamilton as well, so that wheel banging didn't really go well for him. But here's the slipstreaming, what I told you about. Onyx has got Casper right behind him, and at the moment it doesn't seem Casper's too interested in going for that overtake at the moment. Wesker might be trying something on Cherry 2Pi, but again, he is not close enough this time around. One of the Ferraris, that is Jesper, chucking it down the inside of Ivan. Ivan's going to try and fight back in the Alpha Tauri around the outside at the exit of Lacombe. Nothing doing this time around. But there we go. Onyx still in the lead of this race. I know we had a slight glitch with the timing tower earlier, and I do apologise for that. But Onyx, Casper, Cherry 2Pi, Wesker, Hamilton, Cowboy moving up a place as well. We've got Renault 2-3, Red Bull 5-6 at the moment, with the Williams leading and a racing point in between them. If we look at the position changes, Riker getting a good start at the moment. He has gone up 4 places now, actually. I think his teammate might have had a bit of a problem. Ollie is dropping back down the field, wheel banging with Matty at this moment in time, and Matty's managed to get through. We've got yellow flags, and that is Ollie around. Well, he's not on the right tyres, so he might as well come in this lap and put the soft tyres in, because those mediums have definitely not worked for him whatsoever. We've got another yellow flag as well, and that is for Arby's finding himself stuck at the exit of Paul Frere, and we've got one of the Haas cars as well of Sipke there as well. Out in front now, it's been a nice clean lap for Onyx. Just in front at the moment of Casper. Cherry 2Pi still holding on to that third position after a fantastic start, taking advantage of the issues there that we saw Hamilton having with Wesker as those two were banging wheels. DRS is enabled, I swear. We're seeing lap 3 here, and we definitely only have 1 lap, so that's interesting. These guys are so quick that they're just going around and doing another lap all by themselves without us even being allowed to notice. So here we go, and yeah, we've got a DRS sign there, so I think that is another timing tower glitch that we've got. Yellow flag in sector 1. What did I say about the famous Eau Rouge and Radion? It can catch someone out, and I believe that is Infinite. So bad starts for both of the Haas cars at the moment. Currently way down at the back of the field. Ollie has been into the pit and has put those medium tyres on, but it's still Onyx in the lead. Casper second, Cherry 2Pi in third. Onyx doing a good job at the moment. He'll be wanting to break that 1 second window, that all important 1 second. If you are more than a second, then the car in front, then if you are within a second, should I say, sorry, of the car in front, then you do get the drag reduction system, and that little flap on the rear wing will ping open, reducing the drag, closing the name drag reduction system, and giving you a nice little boost down the straight. So Onyx still leading. Cherry 2Pi's just dropped back behind his teammate ever so slightly, just outside that 1 second window, and that might give Casper the chance he needs. Ivan's not waiting for that, round the inside at Blanchimont. Great move from him. Will Jesper be able to fight back into the braking zone? Not this time around. And these front 8 drivers have escaped slightly from Jamie, who's had a good start, showing off his good racecraft. We knew he must have had it. You've got to be a good driver to win around this circuit. Even if it's in F5 or F1, it doesn't matter. You need some fantastic racecraft around this track. It does bite if you get it wrong. We've got another yellow flag, and I think that is Sipke who is around this time around. So the Haas drivers really struggling at this moment in time. Casper has dropped back slightly. Yeah, you see the rear wing open on the Renault, not able to close into Onyx this time around. Hamilton might be able to have a go at Wesker, though. He's going to be forced a long way around at Lacombe, and Wesker later on the brakes, able to hold on to that position. Cowboy will take advantage if there's any mistake from these guys at the moment, but it's still Onyx in the lead. Casper second, Cherry 2Pi is third, Wesker fourth, Hamilton fifth, Cowboy sixth, Ivan 7th, Jesper 8th, Jamie 9th, Best Bob is in 10th. Bit of a bad start though for Arby's, Infinite, OGG Sipke. They've all been involved in incidents, but they'll still have time, obviously, to catch up and make up in this race. 19 laps to go then at the end of this run. We've still got a Williams leading and a Renault 2-3 just behind. Well, this time around, we'll be able to see, can Casper get any closer to Onyx ahead of him? Didn't really try last time around, didn't go for it. Both these two VSR drivers, both represented VSR in the PSGL Esports Cup, which was cobbed, of course, by Owen and Austin, and it was a fantastic victory for VSR in that. They'll be hoping that their drivers could show some good skills tonight. Yellow flags again, and I think that is Arby's, so the mistakes seem to be coming in 2 by 2 at this moment in time. We've seen Sipke make 2 mistakes. Arby's has now made 2, but he's been able to recover just ahead of Infinite. It looks like Onyx is not as far ahead of Casper as he was last time around. Casper will be able to open DRS, already open on that Renault. He's closing in on Onyx, who's not really defending his line at the moment. This might be a bit of a lunge from Casper, and I think he thought about it and decided in the end not to go for that position. So staying behind in second for now, but you can just see the pace he's got. They're well ahead of Cherry 2-Pie, Wesker and Hamilton, who are all fighting at the moment. And while one Williams is in the lead, one is having a bit of trouble. That is Matty, just recovering after having that spin, but he'll drop down to 16th place and being able to give the Alpha and the Hatters and the Mercedes that are down there a bit of company at this moment in time. Huberto Mancini there, it's saying, has got new tyres and he hasn't been into the pits. If he has, it was a ridiculously fast pit stop from the Racing Point team. We know they're being suspected of doing a few illegal things. If they can chase tyres without coming the car into the pits, that is A, illegal, but B, genius. So I'd say let it play. So take that with a bit of a pinch of salt at this moment in time. The other Racing Point still now looking for a way past Cherry 2-Pie. Was able to defend that move from Hamilton earlier on at the start of lap 3, and since then he has been able to catch up with Cherry in the Renault. So at the moment we've got 2 Renaults on the podium. I'm not sure how much longer it will stay that way. We'll have to wait and see. Renault 2nd and 3rd, as I said, Racing Point 4th, Red Bull 5th and 6th. You've just got this DRS train beginning to show here. That does make it quite tough for drivers to overtake, of course, in the traditional DRS spot. So they might be able to find a different place to overtake. Maybe down into Bruxelles, into the campus chicane, or just straight into the bus stop chicane. You want to try and break that DRS train, that can be the best place to do it. Out in front though, Casper this time around has decided that's when he's going for a move. He's gone round the outside of Onyx. He has taken the lead. So one Renault moves up a position. The other Renault still managing to hold on to that place for now. Casper lined that up last time around. Now he's decided he's had enough and he wants to get into the lead of this race. Doesn't want to hang around anymore. Now we'll be able to see, can Onyx keep with him? He will have the DRS, of course, to help him next time around. He'll be able to save a bit of fuel in the DRS as well behind Casper, taking advantage of that slipstream. And you're right, Connor, it is a Cherry 2-Pie train. Brings back memories of the Truly trains back in the day with his epic qualifying positions. And you can see all the way down to Ivan is in DRS range at the moment. Yas has just dropped back ever so slightly, and Ivan is looking very racy. He's getting closer to these guys than some of the others. He's got a great run through there, just avoids the wall outside of Paul Frere. We've seen him go past one car at Blanchimont earlier on the first lap. He got past Jesper. Will he be able to go past Corboy? This will be fantastic driving from Ivan. He's done it again. Corboy's been forced slightly wide, got himself a penalty. He'll be trying to brake later than the Alpha Tauri, but the junior team getting ahead of one of the senior team cars. He's got the other one just ahead of him now. Hamilton is in 5th position. He's the Ivan's next target, and for anyone who is stuck in a DRS train, that's what you've got to do. You've got to find a different place to get past someone. If it's not working on the Kemmel Straight or on the main straight into La Source, think of something a bit more imaginative and you might be able to get the overtake done. Not any problems with trains though for Onyx. He's closing up ever so slightly for Casper, but a bit like Casper did earlier on, deciding discretion the better part of valour, not to go for it this time around. Cherry 2Pie's got a great run coming out of Eau Rouge and Radion, so Wesker was more under pressure from Hamilton there rather than anything else. We've got some close battle as well for the final position in the top 10, 9th, 10th and 11th. Jamie, Best Bob and Volakongan, they're just outside. They're in like the next batch of cars from the Cherry train at the moment, and they've got Carty, Roberto, Riker, Monster Blue, Arby's, Matty, OTG, and unfortunately for the two Haas teams, Infinite and Sipyi down in 19th and 20th at the moment, but they won't want to quit. They'll want to keep on fighting, of course, and try to get in as high a league as possible. And the amount of sign-ups there's been at the moment, there could be well over 10 leagues with PSGL. It's going to be a very close season, and it was all going so well for Ivan, but he's spun off just on the run down to Stavolo. He's going to have to wait for pretty much everyone to get past him. There's a gap, I believe, coming up soon. There we go. So he's down to 15th as it looked as though he was challenging. And has he made contact with Hamilton? There's no damage on, of course, but Hamilton's dropped back a couple of places as well. And we saw a bit of wheel banging involving Hamilton and Wesker earlier on. I've just got to wonder whether there's been a bit more. And we have got first scheduled pit stop. Wesker into the pits. Don't want to speed in the pit lane. 50 mile an hour, 80 kilometre an hour speed limit here. There we go. Pit strategy. Pit window is open for those starting on the mediums, it says. We'd expect the softs maybe to pit now, and or in the next couple of laps he gets the medium tyres on. He is back out on circuit, and that gives Cherry a bit of breathing space, which he'll be oh so glad for. And now Jesper Barneveld, as he gets a penalty coming out of Radion. He's trying to go round the outside of Corboy, and Hamilton's going to try and go down the inside of his teammate. And in the end, Corboy loses 2 places there, 1 to Jesper and 1 to Hamilton. So now Cherry's really got to try and get away from these guys, make hay while the sun shines, not under any pressure from anyone directly behind him. Not going to catch up Onyx and Casper. It really looks like a 2-horse race for the lead of this race at the moment. We'll have to see if the second Renault can keep on the podium position, as who was the second Alpha Tauri earlier on in this race, but he's now the lead Alpha Tauri after Ivan's spin and pit stop. Jay Carty, he's got a wheel face full of smoke there from Best Bob, who locked up heading into Bruxelles. So Best Bob 9th, Carty 10th at this moment in time. Wesker's come out in 14th. He will have faster tyres than those around him as well, so this undercut could work and could get him ahead of Cherry 2Pie. Not too far ahead of him is this train involving his teammate and Carty. They've just dropped back ever so slightly. Has Huberto Mancini just outside of the top 10 at this moment in time. Will we see any more pit stops this lap? Leaders hanging on for another lap. It wouldn't surprise me if Cherry 2Pie comes in to cover off that undercut. No, deciding he can do it by just staying on the fresher mediums later in the race. So Hamilton is into the pits. So Red Bull bringing one of their cars in. Jamie following as well. Volkswagen's going to go on to another lap, and I think there's been another spin, and Sipyi is really not enjoying this at this moment in time. He is finding it quite difficult out there. Yellow flag in sector 3 as well. Not sure who that was for. We've got a lot of pit stops coming in though. Jamie, Carty, as we said, and Sipyi is round again. So not having fun whatsoever. Car number 8, unfortunately, is living up a bit to Romain Grosjean's reputation. Grosjean had a crash here in his first ever year in F1, 2009, when he did that half season replacing Nelson Piquet. Crashed into Jenson Button, who of course went on to win the championship that year. Lap 8 then. Casper and Onyx in the lead, looking pretty good at the moment. Onyx will just be behind, trying to save a bit of fuel, I'm sure. ERS pretty similar between the two drivers. He'll just be thinking, when can he do it at this moment in time? What sort of time can he do? We've got Matty into the pits then, and Sipyi as well, so they've put the medium tyres on for their final stint in this race. Don't think it'll be too long before we start seeing these two leaders come in, as well as Onyx. Wow, did well to hold that coming through Paul Friend. Not sure if that was a bit of desync on the game or he completely lost the car, but didn't seem to lose too much time, as he's now in the slipstream of Casper ever so slightly. Won't be able to have a go into bus stop, so we'll just wait for a bit. And there we go, these guys coming into the pits, and there is enough of a gap for the double stack to work. We know it doesn't work brilliantly on the F1 game, but when you've got 9 seconds, there is definitely enough of a gap. And there we go, Cherry Tupai is following in. So I think we are going to see most of the drivers coming into the pits this time around. What sort of performance does that leave for Wesker though? In fact, one of the drivers that has stayed out on circuit even, is Jesper Barneveld. So he's carrying on another lap. He's going for the overcuts. And not usually successful in Formula 1, especially with the no refueling era. You tend to go for the undercut, pit a lap earlier, put the fresher tyres on, set a blistering out lap and try and take advantage of that jumper position and hope your tyres just last towards the end of the race. And there has definitely been some position changes there, because you see Cherry Tupai just going that bit longer than Wesker and Hamilton. He has then dropped behind both of them now, so he is in a net 5th position at this moment in time as Casper earns himself a penalty, and that could be crucial at the end of this race. It's still close between himself and Onyx. In fact, it was a better pit stop from the Renault crew than it was from the Williams crew, because Onyx has now dropped outside of that 1 second window. You might find it a bit more difficult to keep up with him now, and it did look as though his tyres were wearing slightly faster. Yellow flags again. I'm not sure if that is Matty and OTG who've just maybe had a coming together coming out of La Source. Looking at the track map, that is where the yellow flags were. But with just a couple of drivers still yet to pit, Jesper Barneveld and Best Bob yet to pit at this moment in time. Casper has the net lead of this race. Onyx a net second. Jesper is first and Best Bob fourth. And Wesker and Hamilton both jumping Cherry Tupai in that pit stop period. And they've managed to get quite a gap on Cowboy as well. So could well see a battle later on in this race for that final podium slot. At the moment, Wesker has got a bit of free air, but Hamilton and Cherry Tupai, they'll be fighting to try and catch up to the Racing Point driver. Just about to start lap 10 then, as Jesper does come into the pits, and Best Bob coming in as well and nearly crashing into Onyx and actually crashing into the pit lane. I don't think there'll be too pleased that I've caught that on stream, because that's not the most skillful thing a driver have done at the moment, but no damage, no harm done. And Cherry Tupai then still fighting on the back of Hamilton, his teammate now in the lead of this race. Lap 10 out of 22, still 13 laps to go here, still a lot could change. So we'll look at some battles further down the field, and there we've got one, because Jesper Barneveld has come out just ahead. In fact, he might have come out just behind Cowboy and actually has done him before he got to the DRS detection point, because he did have DRS there off Cowboy, I believe, because the Red Bull didn't have any. Flap was shot on his rear wing, so I think that has been an overtake, and Best Bob has come straight out of the pit lane on medium tyres and has gone round at Eau Rouge. And lightning reactions from RB's. His heart probably skipped a beat there as he sees that orange car spacing stationary at the top of the hill there at Radion. So Arbes takes advantage of that mistake. He's now up into 15th position. Some more battles throughout the field then. You've still got the Ferraris involved in some battles. One just ahead of the car that is Cowboys for 6 and 7. This one between Volakongan and Jamie then. 8th, 9th position at this moment in time. Nearly at the halfway point in this race. It's showing that Volakongan has fresher tyres at the moment than Jamie. Not enough probably to make a huge difference, but we'll have to see if he can make them last towards the end of this race. Onyx getting back within that 1 second window. He's just outside that at the moment. In fact, he's just gone into it. Casper set the fastest lap, and that was instantly smashed by Onyx, and he can have his luck there. That was 0.6 of a second faster than what Casper did, so a great job by Onyx to catch up. He must be pushing like mad to try and close up at this point in the race. Bit too far behind to have a go. We will be into Lecon, but now that if he can get back within DRS range, because he just dropped outside it again at the crucial moment, that could help him and give him a chance. The sooner he does that, the more he can save a bit of fuel, save a bit of ERS. Tyres probably not save that much, because Dirty Air does seem to be slightly stronger on this game, making it a bit harder to overtake once you get stuck behind a car in front. Dirty Air, what that is you get the slipstream, which is nice and beneficial when you're down the straight, obviously, but you don't want to be stuck behind someone. You haven't got the same air to generate the downforce that these cars need around the corners. It's hot air as well, so all the components tend to heat up, and Formula 1 cars do not like getting too hot. They don't like getting too cold. They are pretty temperamental beasts, these race cars. Volakongan taming his prancing horse at the moment. He's managed to get ahead of Jamie. 2 Ferraris in the top 8 then now. Both doing pretty well battling. Can Jesper catch up to Cherry Tupai? Well, at this moment in time, not finding it the easiest to get ahead of Hamilton, although they are closing ever so slightly up to Wesker, and Hamilton just clipped the grass there on the run to Stavolo. That might give Cherry the run he needs. He just had to slow down ever so slightly to avoid Hamilton, who was on the racing line slightly there. Nothing Hamilton could do intentionally. Of course, he was just on the outside of that corner, but Cherry might have a go here into the bus stop chicane. Are we going to see a manoeuvre? And Hamilton just covering that off around the outside at the last moment. So Cherry having to settle for that 5th place for now, but Hamilton looks a bit more ragged at this moment in time. He runs slightly wide again coming out of bus stop, and unsurprisingly Cherry just waiting. Do get DRS into La Source, but that just gives your rival a big advantage if you get ahead on this run down the hill. You don't want to be too close going through Rouge and Radillon, because if you have to lift, you are going to lose a lot of momentum, and he might have judged that absolutely perfectly in the Renault. This is going to be close indeed. Having to take to the grass ever so slightly there. He's down the inside. This might be the manoeuvre done. There goes the Red Bull, slowing down as he's not got that DRS and that extra few mile an hour down the straight. And that is Cherry back up into 4th position then. And Onyx, he's now earned himself a penalty. 1.1 seconds behind Casper. I think that does make them even on penalties, and I will be checking the race director in the last few laps for all the drivers just to see what sort of pace they've been doing on this race, and to make sure that they have gone for the correct strategy, of course, given that the timing tower less than reliable at the moment on F1 2020. So now that Hamilton has been passed, he does seem to have dropped back, and he's actually left the session, it says there, so not sure if he's having connection issues, but there we go. That's allowed Jesper to catch up. I was about to say Jesper's caught up quite quickly to the back of Hamilton now that he's got rid of Corboy behind him, so hopefully Hamilton will be able to rejoin. That would be a shame for him because he's been showing good pace today, but he's just dropping down the field at this moment in time. And just look at that gap that these lead 2 drivers have got at this moment in time. Wesker, 3rd position, 13 seconds off the lead of this race. I think it was Sparks mentioned that they're pretty much in a class of their own at the moment, and you can't argue with that. These 2 drivers were in F1 last year, and they're showing exactly why they were near the sharp end of F1. Casper quite consistently. Onyx, not so much, but he did put together a few good performances. Got 6th place around here, had a top 5 finish at another one of the circuits in the 10 race season. He'll be hoping for some good results this season in whatever league he ends up in this time around. And the calendar has been announced. Austria will be the first race, week commencing the 4th of August, all the way down to round 14, Brazil in the middle of November, and all the top tiers and quite a few of the others will of course be streamed on the PSGL YouTube page. So Wesker's got a bit of free air, doesn't need to worry too much about Cherry at the moment. Jesper 1.6 seconds behind the Renault, he's definitely closed up, and Hamilton still not back in the session, so that's a shame for him because we're going to see Volkongen, Jamie, Monster Blue and possibly Carty as well. And I think the AI just getting it ever so slightly wrong there. Not an optimal line. That's not what you want artificial intelligence and driverless cars to be taking them sort of lines around the corners. Where we got a close battle out on track at the moment. Mancini is finding himself in an AlphaTauri sandwich at this moment in time. Bit of a gap to the one in front, bit of a gap to the one behind. Ivan, who, let's not forget, was showing some fantastic pace early on in this race, and he's just run out of ERS. You might have seen very briefly the ERS number going orange. When you're below 10%, that cuts off your electrical energy and makes it really difficult to overtake in the race and even keep your position. It's about 150, 160 brake horsepower, so that'd make your standard family hatchback a pretty nippy motor. And losing that in an F1 car can have a huge difference, and you can see here topping out around 191, 192 miles an hour. Compare that to a few of these other guys. We've got there, Huberto was on 195 there, so that's 4 mile an hour difference straight away. Hamilton's still not in this session, so he's dropping way down the order at this moment in time. This is a pretty close battle we've got at the moment. Volkongen has got ahead of Jamie ever so slightly. Monster Blue not too far behind, neither is Carty, Mancini, Hamilton and Ivan, so never know, a bit of moves here, and we could see some fantastic battling for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all the way down to 13th position at this moment in time. The 2 Haas cars still going around at the back of the field at the moment. Infinite just ahead of Sipyi, who seems to be feeling a bit more confident on these medium tyres at the moment. Perhaps just getting caught out by the wear of the soft tyres. Pirelli do bring 3 different types of tyres to every race. They're all named soft, mediums and hard. Softs are the fastest, last for least. Hards last for longest, but are the slowest tyres, and generally the drivers do try to avoid them. They're not an ideal race tyre. We've got a yellow flag there, and I'm not sure who that's for, and it's the other Red Bull. So Red Bull's in trouble here. One disconnecting, one having a spin coming out of Pujon. He is now down into 7th position. So I said we might see a battle from 6th to 13th, probably more like, well, 7th to 13th, and probably more likely 7th to 12th. Might see one for 6th to 12th now. We'll see if Cowboy can fight his way up. That releases Jesper from any pressure from behind. He's not thinking about the cars behind him though. He's starting to put Cherry under pressure. He's got within that all-important 1 second window, and he will have DRS this time around. I haven't looked at the leaders for a bit, but Casper still in the lead of this race, 1.1 seconds ahead of Onyx at this moment in time. And there we go. Cherry just getting a better exit there. Might have actually knocked that gap up ever so slightly. Overtake mode on for Jesper. Yellow flag again, and I think that is OTG who's now gone off. He'll get passed by Matty down for 17th and 18th position. Will Jesper be able to do anything? He's just going to run out of VRS. He's got the slipstream though. This is going to be a very late move if he wants to go for the overtake. He goes to the inside line at Lacombe, and he gets that position done. Belgian cameraman not really helping us out there, and Cherry just dives straight back. I don't think Jesper was expecting that move, but Cherry, the door was open. To be fair, well, it was ajar at least, and Cherry just barged his way through, well entitled to do so. Jesper saw him coming, thankfully, otherwise there might have been a collision between them, but Cherry not giving up this position at the moment. All this battling though just allows Wesker to get ahead ever so slightly. That gap at the moment is now at around 3 seconds, and he's looking fairly safe, you've got to say, in 3rd position at this moment in time. Back to the battle for 7th place then. Volokongren just slightly ahead of these guys at this moment in time. You've got Cowboy and Monster Blue really closing up to the back of the Alfa Romeo of Jamie. Didn't have an ideal qualifying, as he said earlier in the chat. Messed up his laps, but you're just seeing who's had great races out of these guys. Hamilton down 12, partly in thanks to his disconnect, of course. Volokongren's gone from 14th to 6th. Jamie from 13th to 7th. Carty 17th to 10th position. So they have done a great job at this moment in time. Be interested to see if they can hold on to their positions at this moment. And actually one of the AlphaTauri's is looking very racy. We've seen Ivan get a few cars at Blanchimont before. Wasn't able to do that this time around. Will he be able to have a go into the bus stop? No. Late on the brakes from Mancini, and he just holds on to that position there. OTG the only driver to do 2 stops, as Ivan just getting a bit of wheel spin there. Putting 900 plus horsepower through very small contact patches on those Pirelli tyres. They're slightly worn Pirelli tyres as well, and you can see if you just do it a bit too eagerly, very easy for the rear end to snap out on you. But Ivan has recovered from that spin earlier on. Definitely got some good pace and could still sneak himself in the top 10. We'll have to wait and see, of course. In the slipstream he is now of Huberto Mancini, but we're too far behind to do anything this time around. And a yellow flag, and that is Monster Blue, I believe, who's gone off. The Monster Blue has lost it through Lacombe. Was pretty close to some of the cars behind him, so not sure if there's been any contact. And you can see Ivan all over the back of Mancini. So Monster Blue has dropped back. He was right behind Jamie, who all of a sudden has got right on the back of Volokongren. So 6th, 7th and 8th, all within a second of each other at the moment. Now there's a bit more time back to Carty, Mancini, Ivan and Monster Blue, who didn't lose too much time from that, but lost a lot of positions. Jamie looking very racy through the first part of campus there. Might compromise his line slightly through the exit, but we'll have to see how he does here. 6 laps remaining. Then 5 and a bit. Well, 6 laps still, yeah, sorry. 6 laps for the leaders. These guys on lap 16 at the moment. Those leaders still pulling away. Onyx just hovering around that 1 second gap at the moment, so not close enough to overtake, but they're 16.5 seconds ahead of Wesker, so they're doing a fantastic job. And I think Ivan has done his usual Blanchimont manoeuvre there. He's now up into 10th position. He'll try and catch up his teammate, 1.5 seconds. The gap is, with 6 laps to go, definitely doable, and Ivan better around the bus stop this time around. He is now up into 10th place. He'll be hoping that Huberto can't fight back too much this time around. Jamie. He'll be trying to fight back at Volokong, and that gap had extended ever so slightly, and we've now got yellow flags at the bus stop chicane for Arby's. He was battling with Riker, and the Alfa Romeo coming off worse out there, but you can just see how much Jamie is closing up to Volokong, and surely he's going to have a move down the inside into Lecombe, and I don't think Volokong didn't really have much to defend with at that moment in time. He drops down then to 7th position, and the Alfa Romeo now splitting the two Ferraris. It's been a good race from Ferrari, 5th and 7th. Alfa Tauri also having both cars in the points, but you've got to say Renault 1st and 4th at the moment. Them boys doing them proud. Cherry 2 by was 3rd obviously in the first stint, but the undercut worked fantastically for Wesker. Casper starting in 2nd, got ahead of Onyx, extended that gap slightly in the pit stops, and now really it is the smallest it has been for a while as they come on to lap 18. 5 laps to go then in this second evaluation race around Belgium. Have to see who can take the victory here. Will it be Casper? Will it be Onyx? They are very close together at the moment, doing some fantastic times. Onyx slightly closing up at the moment. They haven't gone towards the fastest lap, which is still Onyx's with a 1:44.180. Casper's fastest just slightly slower at the moment, but they are absolutely flying around this circuit. Class of the field at the moment, and it'll be a very interesting finale if one of them doesn't end up taking the victory. Something must end up going horrifically wrong if that is not the case. Earlier on today, Jess did take us through the other race. I believe it was a very close race indeed, that one where we saw a fantastic performance from the Red Bull team. Julio, I think, takes the victory there in that one. Onyx might just get a chance here. He is closing up to Casper, and it's really now or never if he wants to go for it. Very similar on ERS. Neither of them have got that nice yellow fuel indicator, which shows when they are just outside of their fuel target and using too much fuel in the race. As we've actually seen, Jamie's got back past ahead Volokong, and I think Volokongen's battling to try and get that manoeuvre back. Jamie down the inside at Vuxell gets it done. All this battling is allowing Cowboy to catch up. Ivan's got ahead of Carty. Bit of contact there between the Red Bull and the back of the Ferrari, but this is a fascinatingly close battle between 3 cars. We've got one at the front of the field between 2 cars as well, and Cherry 2 and Barneyville close it up to the back of Wesker, so it's all going on here, and the top 10 positions could change quite significantly here in the final moments of this race. This might be Onyx's best chance. It's the closest he's been for a while. We'll just cut away from this battle to go to the lead battle at the moment. Onyx within half a second of Casper. Now is really going to be his opportunity to get the move done. Heading down the Kemmel straight, you can just see the Williams drifted ever so slightly, but all in control. Will Casper feel the need to go defensive this time around? Will Onyx go for the move? He's not in overtake, and Casper just says, there you go. Have the racing line, sunshine. I'm not bothered in fighting it this time around. Maybe next time, as if they keep overtaking on each lap, Casper would lead on the even numbered laps, and this race ends on an even numbered lap, and that is the all important one to be leading on, of course. So Onyx retakes the lead of this race, but Cherry 2 trying to close up to the back of Wesker, and Barneyville closing in as well. And Volokongen, Jamie, Cowboy still all fighting incredibly hard at this moment in time. I will check the penalties in the last couple of laps. I'll be going through the race directors of the entire field. Monster Blue has managed to get ahead of Huberto Mancini there, recovering after his incident earlier on coming through Lecombe. So the McLaren back up to 11th. Can he sneak himself back into the top 10 at this moment in time? And in fact, Casper has dropped back quite significantly there. I'm not sure what has happened, but he has dropped back a long way at this moment in time. So don't know if he's made a slight mistake coming through Stavolo, but if he has, that could be crucial, because now he's outside of DRS range. Onyx can maybe just relax a teeny tiny bit. You can never relax too much when a driver of Casper's calibre is behind you. But there we go, fastest lap of the race from Onyx, 1:43.783. First race lap we've seen underneath 1 minute 44. Assisted by DRS, but he's still got plenty of life in the medium tyres then. With 3 laps to go, we've had another spin, and it's another spin for Ivan, unfortunately. He's now down in 12th place, so that does promote his teammate Monster Blue and Huberto Mancini up a few positions. Let's see at this run then. Wesker in third, Cherry 2 fourth, Jesper Barneveld fifth. The two Red Bulls were involved in this battle earlier on, but after the Cowboys had a spin and Hamilton with connection issues no longer involved in this. We've still got a three-way battle though for that final podium position. It's been Wesker's ever since the pit stop, and he's having to go defensive this time around. Will Cherry be able to send it all the way around the outside at Lacombe? He can't go for anything too risky, because if he does, this man will be right up the back of him, and Wesker, you just see Cherry and Jesper fighting to keep in contact at this moment in time. Slight lock up there from Cherry, just allowing Jesper to close up ever so slightly, and Jamie has found himself getting passed by two cars there. So Volokongen and Cowboy have got ahead of Jamie, no doubt using DRS. Will Jamie be able to fight back in the final couple of laps, as long as he can stay in contact? Of course, he has got one lap older tyres than those ahead of him at this moment in time. Wesker still fighting hard. Cherry Tupai there with a penalty. We'll be able to see soon what sort of penalties everyone else has in the rest of the field. So Onyx leading. I think Cowboy's made another mistake. So Cowboy's gone off through Puhon. Lost it through the second part of Puhon, I believe, earlier on. And Jamie's off as well. Has there been a bit of contact between them that affected Jamie a lot later? I don't think there will have been, to be honest. I think that's just two separate incidents that have happened within a few hundred yards of each other. But they were both in the top 10. They dropped down to 11th and 12th. Best Bob's had a spin through Puhon as well. So now that these tyres are wearing out, it's becoming a bit more difficult for these drivers. He had a bit of gap though, so he's able to stay in 15th. That promotes Ivan back up then into the points, and I think Jamie might have lost it again. Maybe overheating the tyres ever so slightly. Casper's just about within a second, and we will check then the race director for these drivers. There is Onyx at the moment. He has 2 penalties, in fact, according to this, so that could be very important, especially because Casper only has 1, but he's 1 warning away from another penalty at this moment in time. Wesker, he also only has 1 penalty at the moment. Cherry, he has at least 3, I believe. There you go. So he could find himself dropping back behind. He's not going to find himself dropping back behind Jesper, because if Jesper isn't careful and keeps earning penalties at the rate he was then, thankfully he's calmed down ever so slightly. He could even find himself getting disqualified if you get too many penalties. Volokongen there in 6th place has kept it fairly clean. Monster Blue with 4 penalties at the moment. He's earned himself another warning. Carty is there, the Alpha Tauri. He has 2 penalties at this moment in time. Mancini, just the 1, kept it fairly clean with another warning as well. Ivan got in trouble early on. He's had a few spins, 4 penalties. Definitely not the cleanest race for the Frenchman. Cowboy, you've seen him have a few spins. He's dropped outside the points, so there's also picked up quite a few penalties, and you can just see the times going down there with the tyre degradation. Jamie in the Alfa Romeo, I think it's fair to say last lap won't have been his best one. 2:04 with 2 spins there for him. Riker in the lead Mercedes, and that seems like a crazy thing to say, that the lead Mercedes way down in 13th place, as we can just see some overtaking happening there in the background. I think that's Casper getting past the lapped car. There are Riker's penalties at this moment in time. Arby's there down in 14th. Bit of a quiet race from him after his spin earlier on. We've seen Best Bob have a spin, and in the early stages he was struggling a bit, not getting any warnings, and it looks like he's going back to that form, unfortunately for him. OTG started on the mediums. Naughty Boy has invalidated his lap time at 1 bit and has picked up quite a few penalties as well. Matty had a few mistakes earlier on, but he's kept it a bit more careful since then in terms of spins. Sipyi really didn't enjoy those soft tyres, but he's been able to gain his way up through the field. Hamilton, obviously that disconnect on lap 12 really costing him at the moment, so he can only really count his first 11 laps, and there is Infinite. Mini Chungus at the moment not able to live up to his brother's expectations. One man who has lived up to everyone's expectations though, we've actually seen an overtake as well. Cherry Tupai has got ahead of Wesker, but with the amount of penalties he's got, I don't think he'll be holding on to that. One man who looks good though to hold on to the win on track will be Onyx, but unless he's picked up a penalty at the last moment, it will be Casper who gets victory here. So it's Onyx who takes the checkered flag, and there we go. Casper kept it ever so slightly cleaner, dropped back slightly. I think he knew he didn't have to overtake in the end, and takes the win here today. Onyx is second, Massive gap back to the cars behind. Cherry will cross the line in third place. Wesker fourth. Jesper Barneveld will have dropped back quite significantly, actually. He's dropped back 3 seconds on these guys, so not sure what's happened there. But Cherry comes across the line. Wesker takes that position on penalties, and Jesper 45 seconds behind in the end. He did not have fun in that Ferrari. Thankfully for him, didn't get disqualified. Hamilton and Infinite finishing a lap down, but I believe they both disconnected and were unable to get back into the lobby, and we're seeing some battling all the way down the field here. Arby's at the last moment managing to get ahead of Riker, so I wonder if Riker's been off track somewhere. Got a yellow flag as well. Is that Ivan again just doing some celebratory donuts? I'm not sure if that's a requirement to get into a higher tier, but Cowboy seems to have followed suit as well, just getting it wrong coming through the bus stop. He crosses the line in 11th. Not the greatest of day from him. Did show some good pace, but a couple of mistakes from Pujon costing him in the end. Just waiting for the final few drivers to come across the line. Best Bob will come across in 15th. We just see what the penalties did to the order. So Wesker ended up on the podium. Casper ended up taking up the victory. Cherry stayed in, or dropped down, sorry, from 3rd to 4th place. Jesper just about staying in 5th. Volokong in 6th. Huberto Mancini going up to 7th. Cartier 8th. Monster Blue 9th. Ivan 10th. Corby 11th. Jamie 12th. Arby's 13th. Riker 14th. Best Bob 15th. OTG 16th. Still waiting then for Matty and Sipia. They'll be the final two finishers then to come across the line. And Sipia there. Bit of Formula D style towards the end. But a great job from the front two. Onyx had the pace from pole position. Got overtaken by Casper. Regained the place as Huberto Mancini. God, I love that name. Takes driver of the day. It was a very fun race. Jamie seemed to enjoy that indeed. But the winner, after one less penalty than Onyx, was Casper. Can he use that form in F1 this season? That's assuming he gets into F1. Who knows whether there's 20 faster drivers than him in this field? I doubt it, but there's definitely some quick guys signing up this season. We've got a lot of talent at PSGL this season, and a great job from Wesker on the strategy as well to take that 3rd position and just getting it on penalties from Cherry. They are your top 3 drivers. Cherry moving up a couple of places. Jesper, 7 penalties, really costing him a lot of time in the end, but not actually any positions. Volokong, Mancini and Carty moving up fantastically. 9 positions for both the Racing Point and the Alpha Tauri. Monster Blue 9th, Ivan 10th, Cowboy 11th, Jamie is 12th, Arby's 13th, Riker 14th, Best Bob 15th, OTG, the only man with 2 stops, is 16th, Sipyi 17th, Matty 18th, Hamilton 19th, and Infinite the final finisher, but I do believe both of them unfortunately had connection issues. And that is it for this stream then. Not it for the evaluation races though. There is a bit more to go, and Infinite just claiming that he has actually had a Wi-Fi issue available as well, so such a shame for him. There will be some more evaluation races tomorrow. It's actually at 7 PM tomorrow. We'll see Jamie take off his race suit. I mean, hopefully we won't actually see that, and if we do see that, hopefully he's wearing something underneath. That could be a bit non-PG. You don't want to see that before 9 PM, but he'll be stepping into the comp box 7 PM tomorrow in a line-only lobby, so we will definitely see some fast drivers there. One that could be very fascinating to watch tomorrow night at 8 PM, the No Assist lobby, where last year's F3 champion and F1 commentator Owen will be taking you through that. And then Thursday at 8 PM, that is when Austin will be taking you through the evaluation race. There will be some more evaluation races next weekend, but the schedule is not fully worked out for that. But the PSGL Discord and Twitter will keep you updated, and make sure to follow PSGL on Twitter. It is at PlayStation_GL. That is all from myself, Luke Etheridge. Thank you guys so much for watching and being engaging as you have in the chat, and I will hopefully see you guys soon. Thank you all, and good night.